The Baltimore Ravens continue to make some major changes to their coaching staff. And outside of the hires of coordinators Declan Doyle and, of course, Anthony Weaver on the defensive side of the ball, I would argue this is the biggest move that Jesse Minter has made so far. I'll tell you more about what I'm talking about on today's show. So happy that you are with us. My name is Joey Petersen. You're watching the Ravens Rundown. If this is your first day tuning in, make sure you lock us in and hit that subscribe button. We are in the middle of our February sub battle. I guess I should say we're in the beginning of our February sub battle against Steelers Talk, our Steelers Chat Sports channel. Right now, they have over a 50 sub lead on us. Frankly, that won't do it, okay? I'm tired of them dominating us in the 2025 season. They cannot dominate us in the 2026 offseason. So help me out, subscribe to the channel, and we'll get started with the rest of today's show. The news came down late last night from Adam Schefter that Cardinals quarterback coach Israel Woolfork now will be the quarterback coach for the Baltimore Ravens per source. Woolfork interviewed for the Tampa Bay offensive coordinator job, was blocked several times from other openings before being allowed to pursue other opportunities that resulted in him landing in the Charm City. Let's get you to know a little bit more about your new quarterback coach, Israel Woolfork. He spent a long time at Miami of Ohio, 2013 to 2021 to be exact. Had a pretty good coaching rise throughout the ranks, graduate assistant for 2 seasons, running back coach for 3 seasons, and then found his notch as the wide receivers coach from 2018 to 2021. In 2022, he made his move to the National Football League and the coaching fellowship program for the Cleveland Browns, and then Jonathan Gannon took a chance on him from Cleveland, brought him to Arizona. He was the quarterback's coach for Kyler Murray, Jacoby Brissett for 3 seasons from 2023 to 2025. And then, of course, they made a lot of coaching staff changes themselves in Arizona that found him over here to the Baltimore Ravens quarterback coach job. He was interviewed, like Adam Schefter mentioned, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator job, which I think we should all take as something that is a positive sign, a sign of upward momentum, and that if this guy was looked at by Todd Bowles for an opening at the offensive coordinator position, obviously people have been impressed with what he's been able to do as the quarterback coach for the Arizona Cardinals over the last couple of seasons. I've got multiple opinions on this one. Number one, I'm excited for a new set of eyes in Baltimore. I think I mentioned last night or yesterday when we talked about them moving on from T. Martin that I'm not sure how great of a decision that was just because of Lamar Jackson and T. Martin's relationship. We'll get into that a little bit more on today's show. But a silver lining in all of this, in my opinion, is it is good to get a new set of eyes on Lamar Jackson. And I think it's going to be very, very beneficial for him, right? You don't necessarily grow a ton when you are comfortable. And I think Lamar Jackson and T. Martin got very, very comfortable with each other, which is a good thing. But I think it's going to be beneficial for Lamar Jackson and this Ravens offense for Woolfork to come in here, get a fresh set of eyes on his mechanics, his approach to the game, and maybe see if he can tweak some things here or there that can help him take even an extra step forward in his ability to play the quarterback position. Number two, this is Minter and Doyle's offensive staff. This is their team. This is Jesse Minter's team. This is Declan Doyle's offense. And so as much as we maybe think, T. Martin should have stuck around because him and Lamar Jackson are so tight, like I am of the opinion that whenever you bring in a new coaching staff, a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator, they should be getting their guys in the building. And that's exactly what this move was. Okay? I loved T. Martin. T. Martin's a Tennessee Volunteer, won a national championship of the Vols. I'm a Tennessee alum. I love T. Martin, I promise you that. But when you have a new regime and a new era, it's time for them to get their guys in the building. In opinion number 3, like if you're upset with what he was able to do in Arizona for Kyler Murray, I have to remind you that it was in an incredibly stale Drew Petzing offense, okay? Incredibly boring stuff they were doing in Arizona. And still, like the fact that Jacoby Brissett this past season had the year that he had of 3,300 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, I think that's impressive in itself. Obviously, Kyler Murray did not really play in 2025, had a full season in 2024 of almost 4,000 passing yards, 21 touchdowns. But, like, I don't want you to take those two guys' statistics and then automatically draw your conclusion for a guy like Israel Woolfork, because at the end of the day, he's not the one calling the plays. He's not the one running the offense. He's the one coaching mechanics, helping these quarterbacks play. And you look at what Jacoby Brissett, again, was able to do in 2025. That is an impressive job. Grade the hire for me. A, B, C, D, or F down below in the comment section. Get those red pins out. Let's play teacher, everybody, and give the hiring of Israel Woolfork a grade. My only worry, like we discussed yesterday, like I discussed last night on the YouTube short, and like I've discussed already a little bit today, is Lamar Jackson, right? Because you're worried about him being happy in Baltimore. There's been enough trade rumors throughout this offseason that started on Christmas Eve for any of us to feel like 100% comfortable that we believe Lamar Jackson wants to be here, no ifs, ands, or buts about. Okay? I think moving on from John Harbaugh was a step for Baltimore to say to Lamar Jackson, hey, we want you to be here. But we know from multiple people that him and T. Martin had a really good relationship. Jeremy Fowler actually spoke on it yesterday with Bobby Trossett. He said, I actually thought maybe a couple days ago there'd be a chance he would stay, talking about T. Martin, because of his relationship with Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar was comfortable with T. T. Martin advocated for Lamar at times. T. Martin made sure he was kind of like a protector of Lamar. I know Lamar really, really values him. But like I've mentioned, again, being uncomfortable is a very, very good thing. You grow in uncomfort, right? You don't grow when you're comfortable, when you feel like it's familiar. You grow when things are unfamiliar, when they're new to you. That's when you're challenged. That's when you take that next step. And we all believe Lamar Jackson's one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League, but he's still 29 years old. Like, there still is room for him to grow in his career. And it feels like at this point in quarterbacks' careers, when everything starts to slow down and they really start to hit their prime, even though physically, like his running ability, he may be a little bit past his prime. I don't think he's far past it. But with what he's going to be able to do from a mental processing standpoint, like, I'm excited to see what Israel Woolfork's going to bring out of him. I trust the moves that Jesse Minter's made. I've been too happy with the job that he's done so far in his first 2 weeks on the job to look at this move and say, oh, it is a wrong step and it's not even close. Is it the move I would have made? Probably not. But again, there's a reason I'm sitting here talking to you guys on a screen and not in the Baltimore Ravens front office. I want you to predict Lamar Jackson's stat line for me in 2026. Give me yards, touchdowns, and if you feel analytical, go ahead, throw in completion percentage in there for me as well. We got more to talk up. Let's talk about Anthony Weaver after this ad break. You are going to get fired up about the Ravens' new defensive coordinator. I guess new, old defensive coordinator. Real quick, though, I got to tell you about our awesome sponsor of today's show, our great friends over at Prize Picks. And the big game is almost here. There's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So, close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. This week, Prize Picks has a special max discount for the big game live in the app now. Drake May just needs one passing yard for the max discount to win. Just add another player to your lineup, and if your picks hit, you can cash in, join millions of users, and sign up for America's #1 sports picks app. I would be silly if I did not take advantage of that Drake May max discount. So I've got it in my lineup along with Ramondre Stevenson, less than 50.5 rush yards, and the more on Cooper Kupp, 32.5 receiving yards. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Beginning of this week, we got the news from Adam Schefter that the Ravens are expected and are hiring Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver as their defensive coordinator. At the time, it was a little bit surprising because you interviewed him for head coach and you figured if he's not going to land a head coaching job, which he didn't, I kind of thought he was most likely going to end up someplace where he could at least be calling plays defensively, and that's not here in Baltimore because that's Jesse Minter's job. But still, you landed him. I was excited about it, surprised, but really, really happy. But just hearing the words spoken about him, I think he's going to bring exactly what we want back to Baltimore, is that play like a Raven mentality. Nick Moore went on with Kevin Oestreicher and said, when you talk to him, he's the nicest guy. But when you step between those white lines, he changes up, and rightfully so. As a defensive line coach, you have to have that energy. You have to have that fire. And there's nothing more that I want out of my defensive coordinator than to be a motivator, than to go and get on some guy's ass. That's what was missing in 2025. This team had zero mental toughness, zero physical toughness, zero physicality, zero aggression. They got pushed around on the line of scrimmage game after game after game. And Zach Orr wasn't doing anything about it. Nothing. You're going to bring a guy in here, in Anthony Weaver, who's not going to tolerate that, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to come in here. He's going to be nice to the media, nice in the locker room. But like Nick Moore said, when you step into between those white lines, he is a different guy. And praise God for that, right? Because additionally, he's not calling plays. That's Minter, man. All he's worried about is how guys are aligned pre-snap. All he's worried about is the guy or the calls coming in. He's worried about making sure everybody's doing their jobs right, so he can do whatever he wants to make sure that happens. And if you don't believe he's going to bring physicality and violence back to Baltimore, let me just remind you of a quote from his press conference in Miami this past year. All of our problems that we need to solve can be solved through violence. In defensive football, at some point you draw a line in the sand. You say, I'm going to set the edge. I'm going to stick my helmet under this guy's chin, and I'm going to set the edge. I'm going to violently take the ball away, and that's what we need to do. Steely-eyed focus, resolve, resiliency, and we're going to stop people. And I'm determined. We are all determined for that to happen. That's all I wanted, man. All I wanted for the entirety of this coaching search was a coach who could bring back that play like a Raven mentality. That's why Jesse Minter was high on my list. That's why Robert Saleh was high on my list. That's why Brian Flores was high on my list, because it was something that was missing, and it's a big reason that the 2025 season, you look back and it feels like it was a waste. Zero physicality, zero toughness, zero aggression. Anthony Weaver's going to make sure that's back in Baltimore, at least defensively. I can promise you that. You think Weaver's an upgrade from Orr? If you do, hit that thumbs up button, like today's video. Also, speaking of Zach Orr, I saw a video go out on our Browns channel right here at Chat Sports. They're talking about hiring Zach Orr over there. So if they do, oh my goodness, I would be so thrilled. In fact, I'd be willing to bet, JD, if they hire Zach Orr, also, yeah, not to jump scare anybody. We're hanging out with JD today, Gage. He still works with us. He's with somebody else today. But if the Browns hire Zach Orr, hot take, Myles Garrett less than double-digit sacks this season. Go ahead and book it. That's going to be it for today's show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Make sure you guys got me followed on socials. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. Probably going to be back later today with another video. If not today, early tomorrow morning. So we'll see you sometime soon, and appreciate you guys for hanging out.